Welcome. We are broadcasting live from the mothership. You are tuned in and listening to Starseed Energy Radio with your host Jonah Bolt. Starseed Energy Radio, where you can always tune in to hear the colors and see the music. Starseed Energy Radio goes live in 3, 2, 1.
All right, what's up, Spaceship Earth? Thanks for tuning in. You are now receiving a live transmission from Starseed Radio, where you can always tune in to hear the colors and see the music. I'm your host, Jonah Bolt. Today is August 31st, 2015. I am Jonah Bolt, the host of Starseed Radio, the Octorian Starseed. We are now broadcasting from Boca Raton, Florida. That's right, we've left the jungle of Costa Rica, and we are back in the dirty, dirty South. I'm sort of happy to be here, to be honest, but then again, I'm really not. But we'll go ahead and get the show started. We have a good show lined up for you, lots of news to talk about. And also, we may be taking some callers, which we haven't done yet on our new network, but we may be taking some callers today. So callers, if you're out there, you can call the 800 number that's on truthfrequency.com, radio.com network, or you can go to starseedradio.com, click on the link and get the number. But we will be taking some calls towards the end of the show. With that, please check out starseedradio.com for the latest news and updates, as well as if you haven't called us to get our free energy information. I have a bunch of files I want to send you to get out to your friends and family to get this information out there. What is free energy? How can we make it? How do we do it? I have 15 PDF files I want to send you. Call us up or email us anytime. Go to starseedtechnologies.com for that, or you can call our toll-free number 888-400-2328 anytime, 24/7. Just leave us a message and someone will get back to you. Again, that number is 888-400-2328. Or you can go to starseedtechnologies.com and you can fill out the form on the left-hand side and we will get right back to you as well. Again, that number is toll-free 888-400-2328. Let's go ahead and start the show with our daily quote. The quote goes, "If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." That quote from Nikola Tesla. Once again, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. With that being said, we have an awesome webinar lined up. On September 27th, we have Sterling Allen, David Sarita, Dan Winter, and Dave Parker. I'll be hosting this webinar series called Synergy, Oneness of the Elements. This is going to be a 5-part series over the next 5 months that I've put together. I'm going to bring you the 20 of the top people in the world to talk about energy, water, air, the 5 elements, and ether. It's going to be an amazing series. So check out starseedradio.com. We're going to have some information up there very shortly, or sign up for our newsletter and we'll get this information out to you ASAP. This webinar series is going to be amazing. With that, we're going to get started with our daily download and the news for the day with our very own Ryan Matthew Dernick from bellwetherpost.com. Ryan, good morning. How are you today?
Very well, Jonah. How you doing?
Doing good. Back in the dirty South, not far from you. So we're right down the street from each other. Good to be here and good to have you on the show again, as always. So let's go ahead and get started. Ryan, what's happened with Mother Gaia? Stuff happened over the weekend, I'm sure. Give us a download, please.
Sure. Definitely. Well, the edge of the sun right now is seeing the departure of the giant sunspot AR2403 that gave us a little bit of action over the start of the weekend with a G-class flare that caused some northern lights in the northern latitudes. And now that it is departing, and the solar, that sunspot was pretty large. At one time, it was 100,000 kilometers wide. And planet Earth, to put that in perspective, could have fit into the sunspot with a little room to breathe. Right now, though, there is a chance of a M-class flare. They're only giving it a 40% chance for the next 24 hours, and thereafter it's going to just drop off because that sunspot is departing the Earth-facing side of the sun, and only a 5% chance of an X-class flare. In other news, aside from that, in regards to Earth changes, there has been, and there is always, as we know, day-to-day earthquake activity. Earthquakes that most likely are related to fracking is the 3.2 magnitude that came out of Cherokee, Oklahoma.
Oh yeah, shout out to the horrible, dumb fracking that's going on around the planet.
Yeah, and actually, they just actually came out and said, oh, that fracking is causing man-made earthquakes. And who said that? Oh, the USGS said that. So it's good to hear that there's scientists
Wow,
actually.
that's a big article. The U.S. they actually announced that.
Exactly. And then in other earthquake activity, there was a 4.7 magnitude earthquake south of Chemperico, Guatemala, a 4.9 magnitude earthquake northwest of Tobelo, Indonesia, a 4.9 magnitude earthquake east-northeast of Esperance Rock, New Zealand, a 4.5, 136 kilometers south-southwest of Nishimoto, Japan, a 4.6, about 225 kilometers east of L'Esperance Rock, New Zealand, and a 4.5, 91 kilometers southeast of Pandacutan, Philippines. In other news, in regards to Earth changes, the hurricane activity, we earlier in the weekend, I know, Jonah, you flew out from Costa Rica. You're like, man, I'm going to get this hurricane. All the forecasts
Turbulence
said that
the
we're going
whole
to have a
time. I
little
just want to say, turbulence the whole time.
Erica pretty much failed at really becoming a hurricane and impacting South Florida, and that would have to be the fact that there was a lot of westerly shear affecting Erica as a tropical storm. The center relocated south of Puerto Rico. Unfortunately, Puerto Rico got a quarter of an inch of rain at the most. They didn't get any of the tremendous rains that did occur on islands like Dominique in the Leeward Islands, where unfortunately up to 20 people lost their lives from flash flooding and mudslides in the area, and there were also a lot of sinkholes there. But as of right now, there's a record-breaking storm in the Atlantic for the Cape Verde Islands. We do know that the Cape Verde storms, as they call them, the storms that come off Africa and originate south of Cape Verde, they usually do come to become big hurricanes as they go farther west across the Atlantic and possibly affect the Caribbean and the lower 48 in the United States. But this storm is impressive because there's an unusual amount of warm water in and around the Cape Verde this time of year, and it's upwards of 2 degrees warmer there. And what's happening is there are hurricane warnings right now, and they're already getting inundated with heavy rain in the Cape Verde Islands. And this is unprecedented again. Since records have gone back, there was a storm in 1892 maybe that was close to there, but did not have the level of impact they're having right now as a direct hit from a hurricane. And Hurricane Fred right now has sustained winds of 85 miles an hour. And these islands are not used to this kind of weather. They get maybe 10 inches a year annually of rain. So this is definitely going to cause flash flooding and mudslides on those islands. And hopefully everyone is prepared there as they need to be hunkered down and prepared for that storm as it's coming in. Now in the Pacific, there it's just been a gangbuster year in the Pacific, whether you're in the Central Pacific or in the Eastern Pacific or the Western Pacific. But right now there are 3 hurricanes, all which are major hurricanes across the Central Pacific right now. And we have Hurricane Kilo, and right now sustained winds with that are 130 miles per hour. It's no threat to land at all. I just want to let everyone know that it's no threat to land. And then we have Hurricane Ignacio, and Hurricane Ignacio has 105 mile an hour sustained right now, so it's no longer a major hurricane. It is a Category 2 on the Saffir-Simpson scale, and it is paralleling the islands of the Hawaiian Islands to the north and east. So right now, I'm sure there's a lot of surfers out because they're expecting 15 to 20-foot swells, which usually you would see this kind of wave action there in the fall and winter. But and from northern latitude storms, cold fronts and such up over by Alaska. But no, this is from a hurricane in that area. And then Hurricane Jimena has 150 mile an hour sustained winds, and it is the most formidable out of all of them. But again, only problems for most of these storms are to shipping interests across the Pacific. So there's going to be no problems with any kind of direct impacts other than wave action from Ignacio on the Hawaiian island chain. Now, into other news in regards to Earth changes, there was a avalanche that occurred in New Zealand at a volcanic site at the Arapaho crater. And the interesting thing about this, the avalanche caused more than 30,000 tons of ice and snow, which fell into the crater lake of Mount Arapaho in the central north area of the island. And this moderately large avalanche on last week on Tuesday night caused ground vibrations that were actually sensed and dropped the lake's temperature rapidly from 8 degrees Celsius to 15 degrees Celsius. So during the next few hours, the lake reheated to 15 degrees Celsius, appeared to be unaffected by the avalanche. Now, the reason that they're monitoring this lake, volcanologists are checking it, is because also there's volcanism. The lake floor is heated by volcanism. And so this is one of many volcanic areas, as we know, in the Ring of Fire, especially New Zealand, that there's a lot of volcanic activity there. Now, in regards to the ongoing fire problems out in the western United States, luckily they got rain over the weekend, which has since helped firefighters, which are basically exacerbated between the National Guard, the Air Force, different military factions have been helping, U.S. military factions have been helping out in this one of the worst seasons, most expensive wildfire seasons. To put it in perspective, last year they spent maybe 40% of their fire on wildfires. This year they're upwards of 70%, and the reason being is not only is the climate always in a state of flux. I'm not going to be one that says, oh, it's climate change, because that's if you know about Agenda 21, they integrate climate change because they want to take away your ability to have your own property and stuff like that, and put you into some kind of like very compartmentalized government housing and stuff in the future, and take away your rights with families and things like that. As Jonah, you know about Agenda 21 as well. And GMOs are also part of Agenda 21 because GMOs, they know, will help with population controls. But back to what's going on with these fires have created a dangerous buildup of fuels. And this really has to do with the fact that the practices that they do in the western United States in regards to fire control, suppressing fire growth, they do these controlled burns. But the problem is they're just getting rid of like basically the really small amounts of fuel at the base. And then you leave these large burgeoning forests that help with these ground fires where you'll have flames 300 feet off the top of trees. And what happens is the fires are burning hotter and more intense. And there's a renewed calls now to change how the federal government pays to fight these large fires. And to put in perspective, again, these fires have, just in Washington State alone, have burned well over 1.1 million acres. So it's just an ongoing issue over there. And then I don't know if you heard about the bombing in Thailand about 2 weeks ago, Jonah, but they did arrest.
I didn't hear about that.
Yes, they did arrest a foreign man over the Bangkok bombing, and they arrested the foreigner on Saturday who matched the description of the man who left a bag at the site of the Bangkok blast that killed more than 20 people nearly 2 weeks ago. And when they raided the building, they now have him who's a 28-year-old foreign man who has been in Thailand since January of last year, and he was being held at a military facility on charges of possessing illegal explosives. It had admitted the passports were fake to police, but it's unlikely to be terrorism at this juncture, even though the individual is not being compliant in any way. And sadly, among the dead were 14 foreigners, 7 from mainland China and Hong Kong, in the attack that the military government said was intended as a strike at Thailand's ailing economy, as not only Thailand's ailing economy, but every economy is propped up artificially right now, which I'll get into the stock market right now, how it's actually down. But onto the stock market, the stocks are down today, and this they're sagged down. Oil prices are also down. And why? Well, because not only is there fear overseas from China, but there's also fears that the federal interest rates will be raised soon. And the reason that is an alarming issue is because an LA Times article recently suggested that housing markets will start to be affected by that. Who would have thought? Well, if you raise the interest rate, you're not going to get those killer mortgage rates anymore. And so that's the fear from the Fed raising the interest rate, which, again, for people to know this and to realize this, the Federal Reserve is a private entity. I could put federal.
That's right.
I could put federal at the start of my
corporation.
name.
That's right.
Exactly. It could be Federal Jonah Bolt, and people would think.
Oh, and don't forget the U.S. Postal Service as well.
Yes, it is. And most people don't actually know these things. They
I'm going to
think that
open up a company, Ryan, called United States of America Jonah Bolt.
there
I,
you
I
go. There you go.
think that would be a good one.
No,
USA Jonah Bolt Corp. Then people may realize that all of these entities are corporations.
exactly. It's all about branding. It's all about imaging. And it's all about wordplay or semantics. And semantics is key to fooling most people because most people don't, they take it at face value. In other news, in regards to overseas, in India, Google is hit with an antitrust complaint in India. Who would have thought? India basically
Get out of
is,
here.
yes, Google's,
Google will
come
never
on.
spy.
No, not only spy, but antitrust has to do with the fact that they are squelching and suppressing any ability for homegrown companies to battle with this behemoth in the United States that is just abusing their technological power as the top search engine. So kudos to India to try to combat a power hungry Google search engine. And for people who don't realize this, Google, well, they do actually have their start, thankfully, or unthankfully, as you want to look at it, is the NSA is where they originated from. And not only the NSA, but other spy agencies is where some of the main individuals that formed Google came from. So people have to really study it and realize why also China never allowed them into China is because they knew Google was a spy hub. They give information to fusion centers. You can Google anything about anyone, okay? If you don't
That's
realize
right.
that it's a data mining system,
That's
then
right.
then you just
Invented
have
by
to.
the government. Everything is Facebook, Twitter. We know this now. I want to jump into a couple of stories also, Ryan, that I found. This one is, as we talked about, Venezuela. Violence and looting is gripping Venezuela right now as a socialist country struggling to feed its citizens. Hyperinflation's happening. The markets are collapsing.
Yep.
Shoppers routinely spend hours in lines just to buy small things like a piece of soap. It's like communist China is coming back. Chronic shortages are leading to unrest right now. It's just unbelievable what's happening in Venezuela, and this will continue to happen in other countries around the world.
Oh, it definitely will. And it is not only in Venezuela, but also in Brazil. They have continual unrest going on over there. They're asking for the ousting of not only the president, but many of the politicians, saying that they've been bought out by oil and big energy companies. I mean,
That's
oil
right.
and big energy companies are
That's right.
trustworthy. I mean, just like BP said, which said they would clean up every last drop
And
of the Deepwater Horizon spill.
that's right. And just to back up, the truth sayers about this, like the doctors and the scientists and people, they end up dead. Or their families end up getting threatened. And we see this over and over. We've been talking about, Ryan, the last few months now, how like 15, 16 natural doctors have been killed. We even had the one right down the street where I used to live in Black Mountain, North Carolina.
Yeah.
And now an investigation just came out 3 days before Dr. Bradstreet was found dead in the river. U.S. government agents raided his research facility to seize all his breakthrough cancer treatments called GCMAF. So people need to realize that people like me and you and others, truth seekers, are putting our lives on the line. This is serious stuff we're talking about. We're not making this up for fame or trying to make money from the show.
No.
This is really a battle, if you will, for humanity against the giants, the pharmaceutical companies, and people are dying just to get the truth out. So we urge people, get this radio show out there, spread these articles. Ryan's always posting articles. I'm always posting articles. We need your help to get this information out there. We cannot do it alone. And I just want to say one more article I found, Ryan. We obviously know about Monsanto, but Monsanto now wants to replace the bees they're killing with genetically engineered flying ants. So as 37 million bees we reported before the weekend were found dead in Canada, and the bee population is plummeting all over the planet. Now Monsanto, of course, the world's largest poisoner of people, wants to basically make new genetically modified ants. While Monsanto claims bees only pollinate about a third of the world's crops, which is BS, Other estimates are really about 90% or more, but their startling decline is also because of the poisoning and all this other crap that they put in the agricultural stuff. So anyways, I'm going to post these articles up as well. There's a really important stuff that Ryan's talking about, that I'm talking about. Get this information out there, and that's it. So with that, we're gonna end the daily download for today, Ryan. But before we go with the daily download, we are going to name our Game of Thrones person of the day. Ryan, do you have a Game of Thrones person today you can recommend?
I would recommend it's more than one individual, but I would recommend Monsanto's, because they're right now they're an activist group in the United States is
Who's the
suing
president of Monsanto? Do you know off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head, I don't know the president of Monsanto. It's a multi-platform, it's a multi-headed, but right, I would say that Monsanto's would be the Game of Thrones public enemy of the day.
Hugh Grant. Hugh Grant is now the CEO of Monsanto. I want to vote him as the Game of Thrones person today. Ryan, you agree?
I would thoroughly agree, and I hope that he divulges information based upon the activists pushing a lawsuit based upon the fact that they didn't release information based upon a FOIA request. So
all right, so Hugh Grant, you are the official Game of Thrones person of the day. With that, Ryan, thank you so much for the daily download. Check out Ryan's bellwetherpost.com. He's always posting up amazing articles. Stay connected. Stay informed, people. We're not talking about this stuff to put anyone in fear. We're talking about it so you can be aware of the issues and the problems that we can all fix if we come together. Ryan, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Jonah.
And with that, we're going to have Dr. Kent Mesplay join us on the show. This is the presidential candidate for the Green Party. He's going to join us in just a minute. He's very busy, but he's giving us 30 minutes of his time. But first, I want to talk about a little something called net zero. Net zero is a perpetual generator that Starseed Technologies is working with to put out. And I just did an amazing hour-and-a-half interview with Sterling Allen from PureEnergySystems.com. That's PESWiki.com or PureEnergySystems.com. Sterling Allen is a leader in the industry of new technologies, innovative technologies, and right now he's presently voted the net zero at number 1 in the top 5 listings in the world to get out there for new systems because of marketplace availability, speed, and delivery. Now, since this has happened, listeners, fans, supporters, I have had over 100 emails, phone calls, and about 20 Skype requests just within 24 hours. I've had Aruba call me, India. So I'm saying this, and I want people to understand. Right now, if you call and contact Starseed Technologies, go to our website, we're offering 100% financing to get these units and technology to your community, to install them so that you and your community can buy power at a much less cost and a zero impact on the environment. So give you an example. If you're paying right now 20 cents a kilowatt, we can come in and say, we're going to give you power for 15 cents or 10 cents a kilowatt, but you're going to buy the power from a 100% renewable energy source. That means no fossil fuels, no gas, no nothing. You have to change an air filter every 90 days, and every 20 to 30 years, you replace the lithium ion pack, which jumpstarts the generator. And I just want to talk a little bit about this generator and the ins and outs of it, because it is unbelievable what the inventor and the team that I'm working with has come up with. Right now, we have 4 systems installed up and running. We have a megawatt in Pakistan, 1 in Panama, and 2 in the U.S., 1 in L.A. If you fill out some NDAs, I could send you a full video on it, as well as I can send you a full PowerPoint and a lot of other schematics and stuff you could check out. This system is, as of right now, one of the leaders and is voted number 1 as of right now for distribution of power. Now, we could stack these units. The smallest unit we have is a 60 kilowatt unit. So to give you an example, a 60 kilowatt unit can power an average of 40 homes of 2,000 square feet. So let's say you and your community want to come together and sustain your family's power for the next 100 years. You would have to invest $7,500, a one-time fee, and that way you can install a power system for you and generations to come in your neighborhood or on your off-grid home or in your community or whatever you want. So this is really, really exciting breaking news that is just unbelievable. I can't even keep up with the emails and stuff coming in. So this net zero generator, just to go into a little bit more, I'm also going to post some links up on starseedradio.com, is basically the larger systems are 250 kilowatts. Now we stack these like servers, and we talked about Google, like in a Google hard drive where they just stack drives and drives. Same thing here. So we could do systems 50 megawatts or larger. We can do islands. We can do a city of Detroit if you want. Meaning call us now, contact us. We are offering 100% financing. We'll come out there, hire all local people. We will install the system. This can also feed directly into the grid. The dirty coal, gas, fuel, fracking grid, those days are over. Mark my words, this is not the only technology out there like this. This is just the leader right now, and many, many more are going to be coming out over the years. So we really want people to go to starseedtechnologies.com and check this out. It is unbelievable. I'm honored to be part of this. It is no fuel, clean energy, renewable energy, no pollution, and continuous 24/7 power, 365 days a year. The power type is UL certified, patent pending, and we have two sizes available, a 60 kilowatt and a 250,000 kilowatt. The average is about 5,000 per kilowatt, and we can do a turnkey system for about 6,500. You're listening to Starseed Radio. Check out Net Zero at starseedtechnologies.com. We'll be right back with presidential candidate Dr. Kent Mesplay. Be right back.
Run with the warriors, armors on my chest plate. Meet you with the battle horns, blaring at the west gate. No time for dead weight. I'm moving vertical.
I'm not looking for a friend. I'm looking for a Jedi Master.
Jedi Master? Yoda. You seek Yoda.
Yoda.
Clear your mind of questions. You must unlearn what you have learned. The Jedi's strength flows from the Force. That is the way of things. For my ally is Force, and the powerful behind it is its energy surrounds, binds us.
All right. Luminous beings we are, as Yoda says, we are surrounded by the Force, the energy. Thank you, Master Yoda. I hope everyone understands what Master Yoda is saying is truth. We are energy. We are these amazing beings. And please check out starseedtechnologies.com to find out more about the net zero generator I was just talking about. Also, we want to send you a free piece of Elite Shungite. It's an amazing quantum healing stone. I use it. Everyone that I know uses it. My mother uses it. She puts it right at the bottom of her Brita filter. It's an amazing stone. I want to send you a free piece so you could feel and see this amazing stone. And we also sell more of the packages, family and friends packages, to get this stone out to your friends and family. So check out starseedtechnologies.com. Now we are joined by a very special person, and I love having Mr. Mesplay on because he is a real advocate for what we stand for, which is sustainability, the earth, the planet. And just to give you a little background on Dr. Kent Mesplay, he's a cultural creative. He was born in the rainforest and raised in ideas of science, blended with intuition, fact with storytelling, guided by a deep curiosity of the role of high technology in society. Schooled in engineering, he also, Dr. Mesplay, his Ph.D. is in biomedical engineering with an emphasis on prosthetics, biomechanics, and efficiency of natural systems. His parents reminded him that as a boy he wanted to put turbines on the trees and his windy village so that everyone could have electric power. And this is an amazing guest to dovetail on the net zero system, which I'll talk to Kent about off the air, which he'll be very excited about. Kent has been registered as a member of the Green Party since 1995. He is now running for president. And since 1995, he discovered that the party platform matched his values and concerns, from renewable energy to appreciation of indigenous diversity. and I am a big advocate for the indigenous people. He also is a holder of Guardian teachings and understood overachiever. Dr. Mesplay has valedictorian in his high school class, and also as a track athlete all the way through college. So he is a mover and a shaker, and it's always good to have Dr. Kent Mesplay on the show. So with that, Kent, thank you so much again for joining us. How are you today? Kent, can you hear me? Are you there? I think we may have lost Kent Mesplay, but we could bring him back very easily. And Kent is also a big advocate for the conservation of natural systems, rainforest. He's been working with many different indigenous tribes throughout the country. He's also have been working with tribal leaders talking to each other again, which is a huge feat. So with that,
Hello, this is
Kent Mesplay, there you go. Are you with us?
Yes, I am. I'm on Skype Wi-Fi. How's the reception?
Oh, signal sounds great. Thank you for joining us on the show. How are you today?
You're welcome, Jonah. Oh, I'm doing well. Busy as always, but glad to get a call from you for some impromptu time on the air, as it were. Nice
Absolutely.
to hear your voice.
Good,
Yeah.
thank you. I know you're running for president and you are very, very busy. And I know that you wanted to also bring in Kat to the phone call, so I'm going to give her a call in just a minute, if that's okay.
That would be great. Yeah, her name is Katja Grune, and that's how to pronounce her name, Katja
Okay.
Grune. And yeah, she's actually working with me on the campaign.
Excellent, excellent. So if you would, Kent, give us a background on where you're at right now. You're running for president with the Green Party. Tell us how things are and what are some of the issues you're working on. And while you're talking, I'm going to give Kat a call as well.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, well, my website, mesplay.org, is up as of a couple days ago. I still have the usual last-minute editing and whatnot to do, but I'm really pleased with it. And I plan to do much of my organizing online and, of course, using social media and smartphones, which is the way to go. I currently work as an air quality inspector, but I've been taking time off to campaign. In July, late July, the Green Party of the United States had its annual national meeting, the ANM, we learned to speak in acronyms, in St. Louis, Missouri, or Missouri, rather. And from there, we had a contingent.
Okay, looks like Kent's call dropped. So let me try giving him a call back on his landline. Let's see if this works. And then we'll bring in Kat, who is also working with Kent Mesplay as well. Let's try calling on the landline. We'll probably have a much better reception with that. Kent, are you with us? Okay. We're having a little technical difficulties here, but that is normal in radio, so we shall see if we can get Kent back on the line with us. There we go. The phone is ringing. We have lots of exciting news to talk about also today with Dr. Kent Mesplay, which I'm sure. Okay, there we go. You're back on the line.
Great, little snafu there. Well,
No problem.
So many means of communication available. One never knows. So the meeting in St. Louis late July went really well. I saw people I hadn't seen in years and reinvigorated old friendships, including with someone who was a Green Party presidential candidate in 2008. And we actually cooperated during that campaign and maintained a friendship since then. The Green Party, of course, has a number of key values, future focus, or what I think of in terms of 7 generations perspective, putting it in Native American terms, American Indian terms, and many others that resonate with people in the progressive community. So what I have at the forefront in terms of issues that I'm talking about are, in addition to the usual, which is cleaning up politics. There are so many ways that we can improve our government. So that, of course, is one that every Green Party candidate discusses. So even within our own party, for example, we have someone who was our nominee in 2012, and of course she has support from within the party. So there are potential fairness issues, and that support tends to go toward the quote-unquote front runner, and that's it with the other parties as well. We have some exciting candidates. We have Daryl Cherney, who was a prominent member of Earth First. Also, an author, Bill Kreml, who is just brilliant. I say that because I don't understand everything he says. I'd have to do a lot of research. He's an attorney and very knowledgeable. So he was sort of the brainiac on the panel. And then we had SKCM Curry, who is very active in the Black Lives Movement. She's been traveling around. And that is Surinam Kinamo Kristen Moyawati Curry. She wants people to know how to say her name. I think I nailed those syllables. And then we also have Jill Stein, who's been speaking about the Green New Deal, which is something that I brought up in 2008, and as one of my platform issues. But anyway, it's been refined since then, and the Green National Committee has really taken off with that. And basically, the gist of that is to have good governance, to have a government that really invests in its infrastructure, and these days does it in a manner that really supports organic agriculture, that supports clean, renewable energy, that supports the independent movement and local communities. Really, one of my issues for a long time has been teaching, basically, that when we live sustainably, we're more secure. And I use security issues and arguments, using just a moment, having a sip. I use these arguments because they resonate in our current culture. Of course, with talk of terrorism and the instability that we have, we Greens have to think in terms of using language that can have traction with the broader segment of the political sphere. Now, there is a lot of corruption in politics. It's rather endemic. It's almost intrinsic, of course, with campaign finance regulations and with how lobbying basically amounts to legalized bribery. But if we step back and we look at what the key issues are today, there is a lot of fear out there, and people are concerned about terrorism. Well, we need to look more locally, and we need to think how sustainably we're living, because when we have emergencies like power failures or earthquakes or firestorms, what have you, then we realize how truly fragile we are and how little security we are. The threat, however, to the powers that be of a truly green approach of cutting consumption is that we are a society that is based on using things up and throwing them away. You had asked about my main issues, and I kind of gave you a scattershot. I do want to say that I distinguish myself from the other candidates by being an advocate for Native people, for indigenous people, for First Nations people.
And I that's one of the reasons, Kent, I really love your campaign and love who you are as a person, because the natives and indigenous have really been stepped on, and just never once in 400 years of our so-called government being formed has had a voice in Washington, and that has to change.
Oh, it really does. And to even look at the United Nations and to wonder why there isn't representation from Indian country when originally these were not considered minority groups. The native nations are valid nations in their own right. And the treaties that were made as nation-to-nation treaties with the United States. And those tend to be violated at every turn. I do want to say that, let's say an independent candidate, a libertarian or a green or someone who is not status quo, actually gets into office. What will happen is they will have to deal with the powers that be and speak their language. So we need more funding for and respect for and a better outlook regarding locally planning via, for example, watersheds, having more local storage and treatment of water. And my emphasis really is on the tribes. I'm going to do a reservation tour and help with native pride. I think you and your listeners know that the suicide rate is really high in Indian country. Poverty is at high levels that we just usually don't experience.
And let me just say, Kent, as well, not to interrupt you, but you're absolutely right. And if you look at the suicide rate of soldiers in our army, of veterans, for every one soldier killed in action in Afghanistan or whatever, there's 23 soldiers that commit suicide. I mean, that shows you right there that this system, all the way down to the indigenous people, something has to change.
Yeah, well, and I heard 22 soldiers a day commit suicide, so maybe it's 23. It's just, I mean, one is too much. That there really isn't a healing ritual, a process that's done. The more spiritual, the better. The debriefing, of course, takes place, but there's no true healing issue for our warriors when they come home. So they're left with some pretty deep problems, and I'm not speaking just of the physical trauma, but of the emotional and the spiritual trauma of what they've gone through. And if this isn't healed, it can go down generations. I mean, PTSD, you've got to say a parent who's a vet who's got issues, well, then the kids pick some of that up and the grandkids may as well. So this is something that really is a moral issue that our country needs to really step up to the plate and handle. But looking upstream, our military personnel are really being misused. They're basically agents for industry most of the time. We live in a nation that's addicted to war. Most of the time that the United States has been in business, so to speak, we've been at war. War is profitable. We still have that congressional tie-in with military-industrial complex, and now the security apparatus, which just has its tendrils everywhere. So we do need to step back as a nation and ask, where are we going? And how does it look, for example, for us to be the bullies hanging out in the sky, just killing people at will? We tend to not think and have these greater discussions of how nerve-wracking it is for people in Pakistan and other countries where, say, Afghanistan. I don't have a whole list in front of me, but drone warfare seems to be escalating. It's basically drone murder. It's not warfare. Well, this makes us look terrible, absolutely terrible. So we are living in an Orwellian country. We really need people to step up to the government and be the government. And one thing that I want to say is that, say we get a green or a libertarian or someone outside the system into office, they're going to have to make some changes pretty quickly. And for me, Kent Mesplay as a green, what I would do is I would work with Congress to uphold the treaties. I would work to cut the waste in our military. We need an independent accounting office that can really look into how funds are spent, including on black ops. And we really need to rein ourselves in as a nation, just not only for the good of the rest of the world, but for our good as well. And we can do this, but we need people to register to vote. And, On a humorous note, my friend Barbara handed me a reminder that even eagles and geese are taking out our drones. Not maybe not the military ones, but the lower flying ones. I see them as either a threat or food. And
Right. Should we call Kat, Ken? You want to bring Kat in on the call? We have about 12 minutes left.
Oh, I would love it if you would bring Kat in. Kat
Sure.
and I, of course, cooperated in 2008. So
Absolutely. And also, while we bring Kat in, the phone's going to ring. I want to definitely talk to you after the show. We have some exciting news on some power systems that we want to bring to the indigenous people as well. So this is very exciting.
Great. Thank you, Jonah.
Absolutely. Kat, are you with us?
I am.
Excellent. Welcome to the show. We were joined by Kent, you, and me.
Awesome.
Glad for you to be here. Ken, go ahead and give us a little rundown on Kat, and then Kat can go ahead and, say whatever she'd like to say in support of the movement and your run for presidency.
Great. Well, welcome, Kat. Her formal name is Katya, so she may refer to herself as Katya. I've known her as Kat for a long time, K-A-T, lowercase k. We worked together in the 2004 campaign. We were both Green Party presidential candidates, and we pooled our resources and ran a positive, cooperative campaign, which really is like Greens exhibiting their best behavior. So Cynthia McKinney was the eventual nominee, but the three of us who were behind her for much of the time, except for one state where I think when we pooled our delegates, we actually came out ahead and beat Cynthia. But Jesse and Kat and I really worked together well. And I was coming in second during the campaign, and going into the presidential nominating convention, I thought I would be second. But Kat rallied her Texas delegates and pulled a surprise, and then she came in second. She's an excellent organizer, an advocate for younger people. She has a lot of drive and a lot of knowledge. And I haven't mentioned our arrangement this time. I'll leave that for Kat, but we're working together. And go ahead, Kat, and say a few things of what you're about. I think you actually got over 30% of the vote on Texas. Is that correct?
Yeah, and it was 2008, not 2004. But, I ran city council in San Antonio and got 30% of the vote against former HUD director Henry Cisneros' wife. Kind of freaked everybody out. They weren't expecting it. And then I ran against the county commissioner here who's well embedded. Nobody runs against him. And got 20% in a partisan race. The first one was a nonpartisan race. So those are the two campaigns I've run outside of presidential campaigns. Mostly I've been not really organizing as much as strategizing and putting ideas out, talking about ideas and how we do things differently instead of just going about things the same old way. It's the same things happening right now in the presidential primary stuff with the other parties is, it's the same old thing over and over. Somebody who seems good, but, they're not going to win. And how can we look at this differently and really think that, tell ourselves that we don't have to fall into this trap, that we can actually succeed in an alternative way. And,
I want to resonate, bounce off that, in that many people think that there are basically two parties in this country. Internationally, that's sort of the perception, that we just have the D's and the R's. And when we hear people speak about our state of politics, they often couch it in those terms, that we just have these two parties. Election results are presented as though the results are actually coming from primarily those two parties, and the numbers look higher than they actually are. But in reality, looking at California Secretary of State website and doing some research and extrapolating, because it's this way in many places, roughly a quarter of the people who could vote don't even bother to vote, which means they aren't registered, and of course they don't vote. That's a tremendous electorate. These are people who aren't just stupid. It's not that they don't know that they could possibly vote, but I believe that they're voting by not voting. They're trying to send a strong message that they're sick of politics. And these are people, in addition to Native Americans, of course, there's some strong overlap there. These are people I plan to bring aboard more and more into the campaign. And then of those who are registered, only about half bother to show up on the more interesting election days. For example, 55% of those who are registered who could vote bother to show up and vote during the presidential elections. So we really need to change politics. Kat was telling me about approval voting. Of course, there's instant runoff voting or preferential voting, et cetera. There are different voting methods. Well, approval voting is a method that is gaining some traction and seems to me to be one of the fairer ways of electing someone. So there are lots of quote-unquote boring details that can be involved. The gist of it really, if you stand back and you talk about what's really wrong with our system, is it big money? Is it play? And corporations are still legally seen as persons, and that's an issue. So, they have a stranglehold on us being able to really create the change quickly that we need to, especially in light of climate change, which has been one of my main issues. So these are very important times for people to be active, and we have to keep in mind that as we evolve, that we can't even rely too much on politics and politicians. So even though I'm running to get into the White House and affect change via Congress, I'm very cognizant that Congress will drag its heels on doing anything important until the very last minute. So my plan, too, is to work more with social media, because there are masses of people who are making change that are not politically involved. So,
and we have about a minute left, Ken, so I just want to get out your information. How can people support you, and where can we find out more information? Mesplay.org, I know, is one site. How else can people get involved?
Yeah, mesplay.org. Also, a fan started a Facebook fan page that I've been using more and more. It just got up to 500 likes a couple of days ago. And that is at PresKent, PREZKENT. Kat had PresCat years ago, so she was a source of inspiration. Those are the two best ways, really, to contact me. Go through the website and perhaps Facebook. And Kat, do you have something you'd like to add as we wrap up here?
Maybe just to throw out that monetary reform is actually one of the key things that I've been talking about, and I would suggest that people go check out monetary.org and start thinking about public money for the public good.
Excellent. Thank you both for coming on the air and for supporting a real system.
Look at the Gulf of Japan, because they really planned it. Heading for the iceberg like the Titanic.
Appreciate being on the call. Thank you. It's hard to hear you.